All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out here. 1 second. All right. That. There we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, good. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. So happy Monday, everybody. Here we are, back in the market. So it's always a good time. Always something new to learn. Always something fun, right, to do. So and lots of stuff. Lots of things happen, and some opportunities to make some money too. So that's always a good thing. So here we are with the monthly chart, right? Sorry for a couple of these trend lines here from the other charts, but you can see here it's the monthly is working on a hammer right now. Better compared to where we were last week. We had a nice gap up today, so that puts this monthly chart up. Right, we're up 34 points today. The volatility of the VIX is still high, even though the VIX is kind of coming down. So just still a little bit of caution is warranted there. This month came off of the prior month, which put a topping tail in off of the upper Bollinger Band, right? So we're just we saw a lot of downside movement from that. We didn't even touch the mid Bollinger Band on the monthly like we did here. So I think for some reason I feel like the whole FinTwit community and everything has been talking a little bit more about just how bearish everything has been. And maybe it's just after hitting these all-time highs. But we hit all-time highs here and we came back down. I don't remember seeing everybody as kind of fear factor is higher. I guess maybe some of the things that are going on, some of the the back and forth, geopolitical stuff between China and everything is maybe escalating a little bit more. So it's got the tensions a little bit higher. So, and there's always something new, right, happening. So, so good stuff. Hopefully everybody can hear. Just making sure. Okay, it looks like everything's coming through. Okay, good. So this is where we're at. So that's where we're at in the monthly. We take a look at the weekly chart, right? Like 2 weeks ago, we had this nice hammer over the mid Bollinger Band on the weekly, and that was setting up for some bullish activity. We did get a little bit of move to the upside here. Then we pushed down a lot, and then we kind of finished just closed below the prior week's low, which kind of bearish altogether. Then we gap up here this week, right? We get some tweets over the weekend that are have bullish implications. We gap up today and push, right? So that starts our week right off basically there. And so what's really, really neat is that we're talking about last week the bullish activity of entering into the cloud, right, which we've done, right? So here we are, hey, this is kind of bullish, right? So what I was kind of thinking is maybe we consolidate a little bit. I don't know, this with the volatility as high, so there's no such thing as consolidation, right? Inside, outside, boom, right? Inside, down, up, down, rah. No consolidation, right? So I don't know why I was even thinking that, but here we are. We gap up, 30-something points today, and we actually had a pretty narrow range day today, relatively, right? 17 points. We had this inside NR7 day here. For 11 points on the SPX. So 17 points on the SPX recently has been a pretty narrow range. So it is an NR7 day too, because it's a narrow range in 7 days. But what we've done is a Christmas reversal, back up, back in the channel, right, over the pitchfork median line, over the pitchfork upper midpoint line, back to the top of the channel, and lo and behold, once we get to the top of the channel, we reversed off of it. Right, and where do we go to? We went to the pitchfork median line, right? It wasn't that easy, right? There's some crazy chop. This is the past couple of weeks, this past week and a half. This has been some crazy price action here. Big days, big moves, very, very challenging. But here we are. Today we're back in the resistance zone. So now the question is, are they going to push these futures down tonight on, I don't know, I think there was some nonsense on big tech about the attorney generals, all going after them. This stuff, I don't know, it's kind of old news, I think. But anyway, whatever. We'll see if they use that as an excuse. But who knows? We could be up 20 in the morning. So, before we get started. So we'll see. Here we're still under the 50-day moving average here, but we're above the 200-day. So if we can get above this, we get over this resistance zone right here, I think we start working our way back to the top of the channel. And if we can get up there, then I think we can start to work our way up to the top of the pitchfork. Now that would be pretty cool. Now that is a very, very big potential place of resistance right here. So it would be interesting. We're in interesting times, definitely. You go back and you look at trading all the way through. If you started trading back in here. Back in 2016 to 2017, it was Super Bowl market, right? And this was the bearish activity right here. That's like a day these days, right? We're trading through this, guys. When you really put it all in perspective. So everybody who's learning right now is learning in one of the craziest markets of all time. So just consider if you're trying to put things together, you're like, I'm trying to make sense of all this stuff. Most people have never traded through this ever, right? So that's why we have kind of different tactics that we use intraday, like the 15 orb method, 30 orb method, 60 anchor method, stuff like that, that we use that we can day trade with, and then we just get bigger moves off of it when they work, right? So really, really cool stuff like that. And so yeah, and then we use these levels, use these key levels, and we help guide our way forward. So anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about we're going to continue the discussion on the turtle trading method, right? So the one book by like couple that was really good. It talked about the turtle traders and like how they hired them and what they did and all that stuff. But didn't really get into the method too much. So that's what we've been kind of looking at here. So yesterday we looked at the let me pull it up here. This is the 3-minute chart. This is not going to be it, but it would be nice to still be able to see my charts. Okay, so there. Were we on this one, or were we here? I think we were looking at the daily chart. So let me just pull this up real quick and take a look. Okay, I think we're here for all intents and purposes. But if we go to the daily chart here, right, what we can see is if we just go to 1 year, 1 day on it, and then what we did is we kind of put the Darvis box up yesterday, and that's essentially what they were using, right? As the turtle traders were using, breakouts, right? That's all they were doing is they were trading breakout levels, and if it hit a breakout level at 20, what was it, like 22 and 50 days, one of those two, they would just they would take their entry on it. And they would trade, a series, like a set of futures contracts. So they would mostly do commodities, right? So they weren't in the stock market or particular stocks, right? They were trading futures, right? They were trading commodities. So it was a different total market, right? And they were given, some guys were given like $1 million to trade with, right? Yeah, and some of those guys made millions of dollars off of it. But gosh, if somebody gave me $1 million to trade with, I mean, it would be, it'd be a different story, right? So. As well, right? And especially if it's not your money, it's like totally different. But anyway, so let's take a look. Let's put the Darvis boxes up here, and so just kind of get like kind of an idea of what it looks like. Okay, so we have some Darvis box up here. So you can see some breakout levels, right? Nice breakout here. So it gives you a green arrow to say, hey, it's breaking out here, right? Breaking through the Darvis box. And then you take your entry, and then the idea is you let this thing run, right? And so this market actually would be really, really difficult for turtle traders, especially if it continues the way it is. And the reason is because we're talking about today, we're going to talk about how they set stops. And it was really pretty simple how they set stops. They just and we talk about it all the time when we talk about option trading. Don't risk more because option trading is really volatile, right? I mean, you in and out of trade really quickly, and premiums could burn really quickly, right? So we know as option traders what it's like, to see premium burn, right? And so when we take entries, right, we don't want to risk more than 2% of our capital, right, on any one trade, for sure. And so, and that's why we have, sets, stops and all that stuff on our options. So that's what they did here too. But they had $1 million they're trading when they're trading, futures contracts. And so, so really one of the big focuses of that is where they set their stops, right? And so what they did was kind of interesting, right? They didn't actually set stops. Like they never called their broker. This is back in the 80s, right? So, there's a little more, I don't know, still even now with all the data out there, I mean, people still see where our stops are. Brokers still see where our stops are. There's no question about it. And so, but what they did was they never called their broker and set the stops. Only if it hit their level would they call their broker and say stop. And so all their stop was just 2% of their, 2% of their position, right? So, or 2% of the their account size. And so, so that's what they did, right? So basically, they just and it was all based on N. They had this number called N that was calculated. I think we chatted about it yesterday a little bit. And so basically, they just made it, an N length of distance, right? And so which had to deal with the current volatility of the market. And so basically, they just set had a fixed stop on every set of trades. And that's really kind of the key takeaway of the whole thing, is that. And we always talk about it. Always know your risk first, right? I always say at the end of every conversation, know your risk first. And stay safe, right? So you stay in the game, right? So, because if you don't, if you put on too much risk and you don't know how much you're risking, you don't know where your stop is, right? When these things start to pull back like this, I mean, that's where people get blown up, right? I mean, because if you don't know how much you're risking, here, if I was entering on this breakout right here, right, I would definitely have a stop, probably, at least at the bottom of the Darvis box right here. Right, so let's say here it came up here, right? So they enter long. It's pulling back. Well, it hasn't triggered the stop yet. It hasn't broken this Darvis box area yet. Okay, right? And so, oh boy, it's really, really pulling. Now it's actually at this point it stops. Okay, so here, I would know what my risk is, right? If I'm risking 2% or whatever the case is, if I get stopped out, I already knew what it was before going in. I'm not taken by surprise if I get stopped out here, right? We get stopped out all the time, right? It's just part of trading, right? It's not, trading is trading. It's not, the art of perfection, right? It's trying to, get a good deal, right? It's trying to get a good deal and then, maybe sell to somebody who thinks it's a good deal at a higher price, right? That's really kind of what's going on, right? So it's like we have to feel like we're getting a good deal and jump in and make a deal, right? So that's really what's happening. And so here at this point, if somebody didn't have 2% of their account, and let's say they YOLO'd, right, and did 100% of their account right here, well, by the time it gets to their stop out point and then it pushes down below it, they're in trouble, right? I mean, there's margin calls happening and all that stuff, right? So what they would do is they wouldn't set a stop market on it, because they didn't want the brokers to know where they were at. So what they would do is they would just wait till it hit that point, and if that hit that point, no matter what, then they would mark it out of their order and kind of go from there. But they knew how much they were risking, right? And so they had one other technique that they used, and hopefully this is still coming through. They have one other technique that they use, and it was called like the whipsaw technique. And so this one was kind of interesting. They basically, the whipsaw technique was they didn't set as big as stops. And so let's say instead of risking, instead of setting their stop at 2%, 2% risk, right? So, or 1 N, they would do half N. So instead of setting a stop maybe here, right, they would essentially set their stop here. So, but what happened is on these breakouts is that they would get stopped out more, and then would re-enter on the breakout. So here you could see, right, if they entered, on the breakout of this box right here, right. So if they were long, their stop was kind of halfway through, right, half an N right here. Well, what happened, and then they would re-enter in the breakout. And so what happens is they would get stopped here, right? Then they'd re-enter. Right, then they get stopped again, right, and then they wouldn't re-enter yet, and then it wait till we come back to the level, and then they'd re-enter here, and then it would work, right, and then they would just kind of trail. And we'll talk next time about kind of their tactics and strategies and stuff like that, but how long they would let winners run until they were good, right? So that was kind of the key with their strategy, but. Anyway, pretty neat stuff, and still, like, even though we don't necessarily trade this way now, it's still a lot of relevant things like setting key stops, right? Knowing a system, having a system that you use, having a system that works in the market right now, right? Having a system that works on a particular stock that you like to trade, right? So it's all that kind of stuff. So, so that was basically kind of what we're hitting on this week. So, anyway, I hope you guys found that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, feel free to plug those in the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can, and try to wrap up by 10:30 so we can all get a great night's sleep and for another awesome day tomorrow, right? So good stuff. Eric, how's it going? Good evening. Appreciate you being here. SMDC4S, hope you're feeling well, man. Good to see you. President accounted for. Good to see you. Glad you're feeling better. Julian, what's up? Thumbs up. Jay, hello. Enjoy Life Apparel. What's going on? Good to see you. NetPry, how's it going? Good to see you, my friend. Jay, Turtle Trading. I have a book on it. Nice. Yeah, so that one trading book kind of gets into like the turtles themselves and how they picked them and sort of like that Trading Places, the movie was based on that type thing. It to the rich fund owners bet that they could teach a guy and all that stuff. So it's kind of neat stuff. So Harvey, how's it going? We have to talk later about that, what's going on with your screen on that. So send me a message again. I'll DM you after this. Robin, good evening. Robin, I think we should take a look at Disney. So, guys, did you guys see what happened to Disney today? So I know somebody's going to ask about it later if they haven't already, but let's just take a look at Disney real quick. So normally, let me actually go back a little bit here. Okay, so normally, let me go back to where the Darvis box isn't. So let's go here. So Disney obviously had a nice move today. I mean, the market was really good, gapped up and all that stuff, but they pulled back. I was working for the company 18 years in the finance, department, and basically told the SEC that Disney's been inflating their numbers for years based on park traffic and all that stuff. And so that just came out, basically right here, and then flushed it, So, but honestly, you look at the chart here, it doesn't look that bad. And they're probably going to come out and dispute it and say, the accusations are false and blah, 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 blah. And like it'll just kind of float around for a little bit and then work its way up. So honestly, it looks pretty bullish right here. And what it did was it gapped above the prior day's high, right, which was the entry point, but we gapped above it. So it's tough. And so we actually closed right at it. So it actually kind of sets up for kind of a bullish move kind of going forward, which is kind of neat. And that there. Dennis, what's happening? Evening. Hopefully the stream is coming through okay. Sometimes it's on my streamer, it's saying it's like the stream health is like output is low for some reason. Anyway, I apologize about that, guys. If we did it on Zoom, this thing would be like crystal clear. So that's something about that. Okay, cool. Sarah, how's it going? Good to see you. Call Saul. Hey. You'll load. Session, what's going on? All right, so we just took an in-depth look at Disney right there. So let's take a look at Lulu. Told you, man. Lulu. Lulu's tough. Lulu and CRM are tough, and CRM has earnings this week, by the way. I can't believe like Lulu's. We just traded. Didn't we just trade the 15 orb on these earnings just like a couple days ago? Goodness gracious, we're already back at it. And this is what it's done. This. Here's the trouble, right, with those ascending triangles, right? The odds of it breaking out is really, really low, and so we've undershot it right here. So at this point, right, this is probably like sort of like say like a wave A or a wave, B. These are normally ascending triangles are normally wave B, so this is probably wave C. And so now it's kind of working on maybe a 1, 2, and then possibly trying to work its way back up there. So so we could be working on a wave 3 up. So it might try to work its way up, possible swing over that 190 level. So that is looking kind of interesting there, Elliott wave wise. And it is it's a little sloppy right here. So yeah, so the Elliott wave is looking interesting. Tesla was a beaut today. For newsletter subscribers, we have the Go bar method, and I tell you, Tesla works really well with it. So nice breakout over today's high, right? Everything kind of gapped up today, but it looks like it had a nice test of it this morning, which is great. Oh, I'm way going the other direction here. So you can see here. Did we fill the gap? Yeah. Well, we didn't fill the closing gap, but we filled the that we tagged the prior highs. So it is. I love how it came back down, filled the gap right here. Look at that. Gave a go bar right here. Couldn't quite break out of it, but it would have been safe in the entry. Never stopped out here on the options. Pulled back to the key level. Nice go bar right there, and then beautiful trade for the rest of the day. So if we look here. Right, we're still below this kind of more macro trend line right here, so we need to get another push. It looks like we pushed a little bit, so a push over today's highs could give a move. This 229 level is going to be really, really key for it to get over. So once it can do that, we might get a little, upward momentum. So kind of mark that level down. Nvidia should have taken an extra swing on this one too. It was strong, and it gave a couple good entries today. So, but it's doing good. It is running into a little bit of resistance right here. Okay, so we've got a little volume trade. It's 172.50. So just be careful of that. But what it did now is it got back over this pitchfork level, kind of this macro pitchfork that we see right here, right? So this is big time. This is like the pitchfork for Nvidia, right? From that high to that low, right? Midpoint line. Couldn't quite fill that gap. Down, it's been kind of just kind of messing around with the lower pitchfork. So here we are. So right over the lower pitchfork level. So let's see if we can maybe consolidate a little bit and then get another move up. Watch out, you got X dividend coming in in 10 days too. So be careful with that. Walmart. We have an inside day on Walmart. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, to me it looks like high. Let's optical illusion 114.93, 114.78. Yeah, inside day on Walmart, still within its gap and go levels, right, from earnings. So it had a big earnings, right? Couldn't quite get really over, couldn't close over it, but now it is over it right here. So this is really kind of key. So Walmart is actually looking really interesting for a swing. If you can remind me of that tomorrow, that'd be great. That might be a good one to look at the end of the day to see where it's closing at. So, but yeah, Walmart's looking pretty good. Baidu, yeah. Earnings, sweet. Update this list here. Okay, Tuesday. Okay. Look at that. More Baidu. And I think we have Home Depot tomorrow too, right? Hold on one second. We didn't have much going on today in terms of 15 orbs. There just wasn't a lot of gappers on news. I mean, everything was gapping today, right? So it made it tough. There was like Estee Lauder, which is impossible to trade, and then and that was it. I think Kiwi did good. So we'll have to take a look at that. But yeah, so here's Baidu. Let's take a look. So that is where it was, right? And so here it did. It broke out over its downward trend line. Now let's see what it did after hours. I haven't even looked yet, so I'm excited to see this. Well, it looks like it was pretty good. So there you go. Baidu. So what's that doing? I mean, basically right here, it's gapping up to 114. So let's take a look and see how that's going to look here. So 114 is not going to cut it. 116.76 is the first gap and go level it needs to get over. Right. So I'm going to put that right there. 116.76. Put that there. I'm going to call it GG1 right here. Get us ready for tomorrow. Got that. Okay. And I've frozen the computer. 1 second. Okay, any day now. I just won't let me hit OK. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, well, I guess it worked that time. All right, so GG1 right there. So it's got to get over this 116.76. That's the most recent, right, like level. Right, today it already had a big bullish move, right? So the bulls are involved, right? The bulls are involved today, right? So, and then the gap up here, right? I mean, this is, nobody's really caught short after today, right? I mean, there's some shorts maybe that are like here and here, but that's why you got to get over these levels, right? So that's how you get kind of those gap and go moves. So we'll see. It could get strong into tomorrow. Hopefully we get, bullish overnight and all that stuff, and then this starts to get strong. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But really, really cool. Thanks for bringing that up. Jay, yeah, the Jarvis box is cool. It is cool, and it's cool to trade, every day. I mean, it's cool to it's cool to have as part of a trading plan, right? But it's just just a little bit, just their method is a little bit different. So, Brad, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Holly, man, how's it going? Let's take a look. Roku. Did we look at that yet? No, I tweeted that out earlier. We always look at Roku. Roku's doing good. Just so you see right here, right, we have this beautiful gap up right here, upward trend line, gave you a minor pivot right here, and look how Roku just can't even get below that minor pivot. Like it tags it, right? We had a couple like move, then it would hammer right here, right, or Northern Doji, right above this, the new downward trend line, right, because it was uptrending, then it gave another downtrend line, right, and then so up here now, look at that, it pushed like really, really solid through that. So this is actually really bullish right now for Roku. It could be, it could be a good, good potential move on that. So that's looking pretty good. Brad, yeah, let's take a look at Twitter and Microsoft. Twitter's up to $40. That's pretty impressive. So Twitter's kind of been doing this thing, right? It's kind of just working on this upward trend line. Wasn't that interesting? We had yesterday we had a 60 anchor on Twitter. Right here. It gapped up. Am I seeing this right? Maybe it just looks funny on the daily chart. This is the way they're overlapping right here. For some reason, I thought they were all overlapping. But anyway, so here we go. We do have this nice upward trend line on Twitter, and it's holding it pretty well. So a nice gap up today. I don't know. It might pull back to this trend line, but it is bullish until proven otherwise. So, I mean, Twitter's looking pretty good. And Microsoft. Also a nice move today. Let's take a look at Microsoft's daily price action today. So yeah, look, this is actually super strong. Right? It's over. It got back over its 50-day. It's over its 200-day. So it's definitely getting its bullish moves back. A nice move today. Just nothing really tradable off of this. Very, 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 very challenging today on catching an entry on here. Would have had to caught some funky price action on that. So tricky stuff. But nice move, right? So overall, if you're swinging it, and we're swinging it from last week, today was a nice move. So good stuff on that. Heather, good evening. Eric, okay, so NR7 stands for narrow range 7, right? So the narrowest range in 7 days. So these are significant because they're signals to you. When you see like a narrow range day, it helps to go back and count and see like where it is in time. So go back here. And we talk about it. If you search through like the member drive, through the newsletter archive on newsletter on NR7, you'll see it come up. But they're really significant, right? Because they're the narrowest range in the most recent in time, in the most in the last 7 days. And what that means is that from contraction leads to expansion, right? Now, obviously, we've seen a lot of expansion right here, but as they compress, right, as stock, as price compresses, it builds up energy, right, and it likes to move, right? So if we go back and look here, right? This was an NR7 day, right? This was only 11 points, and this one here was 14, and this one here was 9. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's the narrowest range in 7 days. And it was also even more significant. It was an inside day, right? It was an NR7 inside day. And look what happened after that. Look at how much price movement came out. Like, so that little bit of contraction right there at those highs, like near those all-time highs, was enough to get things going, right? And we kind of flagged this here too because we had this upward trend line with this minor pivot right here. So if you saw that 3-minute trend line video, that's all this is, right? So upward trend line here, minor pivot right here, breakdown there, see ya, right? So pretty impressive stuff. And I think this also was like an NR7 day, and that had this nice move up. This was an NR7 that had this move up, right? NR7 day here, this move up. So when we see these narrow range days, we should take notice, right? Now, obviously, we're in crazy high volatility time. The volatility was definitely not as high up here. But we're in this crazy. So I mean, we can kind of expect anything, right, at this point. So also, look, the market is rebounding. MG, good question. There you go. Hopefully you found that helpful. Yeah, so that's the NR7 day. Albert, what's happening? Starbucks, yeah. Starbucks. I was trying to find a nice entry today on this one. Still working on it. Sleeves are rolled up. But really anywhere at this point, any pullback on Starbucks has just been incredible. So we'll see if it pulls back a little bit more. It might give it a little bit better entry. It is right on the upward trend line right here, so that is nice. Hopefully we can catch a little bit of an entry on this. So we'll see. It is looking good. Buy the drip. That's what I like to say on Starbucks. And then Sina. Oh my goodness. How did I not see this one today? Oh, wow. That was a move, huh? It was tough. They wanted to push this thing up, right? Obviously, good earnings and all that stuff, or good earnings report. That was your gap and go level right here, right? So if we put a line at 41.33. Oh, wow, that didn't work. I didn't have the line. So 41.33. I think I can get 41.34 here. 1 second. There. Let's put it there for now. Okay, that's just estimate. All right, we go down here to the 3-minute chart. Right, we'd see what a nice breakout it had this morning. Now it did pull back right to our box levels right here. Right? But it gave a signal bar here. Potential move signal bar here was that was the key one right there. Then see ya. Right? See ya, Cena. But even right here, it didn't quite close above the box right here, but it did give it a quick move up. But really, really interesting stuff. So it's a strong move there. Might get some continuation. I don't know how good the options are on this thing. That's as earnings season kind of winds down a little bit, right? We lose some key stuff. But yeah, I mean not horrible. I mean 30-cent spread. Here's 20-cent spreads and all that stuff. So it's not horrible. But yeah, let's take a look here one more time at the daily chart and just see. So I like how it started to push back into the cloud, right? It needs to get over this level here. So 45.55, right? It's got to get over that, and then it can probably try to work its way out of the cloud. Nice big gap right here too. So you have that potential as well. Okay, also, what is McDonald's up to? Let's take a look. MCD. Mickey D's. Big Mac. 218. It just loves to just taunt me at that level. So McDonald's, as always, is working on this channel, right? So it has been working on this channel for all year, I think. Just like, oh, hey, McDonald's, you're never getting out of this channel, are you? Right? So it's just like, yeah, all the way since February, right? So, So outside day. So have a daily go bar on this one. So we'll see if it breaks over today's highs. It could, could start to move back to the top of the channel, maybe to 224 or something like that. It's just hard to always trade in the middle of the channel, but it could work. Trace Center, what's happening? You're new here? What does watch this mean? For instance, 15 orb, 30 orb, and the NERF. Great question. So, and thanks for tuning in. So if you follow me on Twitter, if you just found me on YouTube, definitely check the links out in the description. Check out our Twitter page and all that stuff. I tweet a lot of this kind of stuff out, and answer a lot of questions there. But the 15 orb, right, is your opening range bar. Okay, so that's your first 15-minute bar, and this is your 30-minute bar, right? And we look at that. We look by this high and this low right here, and those huge range, very, very consolidated day. So we use that there. The 30 orb is usually the next day, or a couple days later if it's significant, where we look for, some moves. Like so for instance, John Deere had earnings on Friday. And then check through, all the YouTube videos. You can search my YouTube channel. I got lots of stuff on orbs too, But if we look here, right, so this was earnings day for John Deere. Now, John Deere gapped down, but had a phenomenal reversal, and it pushed through all these that pre-market box right there and gave a nice push up, right? So we look for that, right? If we go to the 15-minute chart that day, it was but anyway, so yeah, so it's kind of like the key. What did I miss? Yep, so there's it is. Jay, wow. Like you want the stock wow, or are you saying wow? Is there a wow stock? That'd be a cool ticker. I don't think I've seen that one. We'll take a look. Yeah, Whittier Penn West. It's 560. You never know. Down 3 cents today. Yeah, it's trying. It's trying to work its way up. So something to keep an eye on. Yeah, Cena had a great run today. So, Hollyman Kim, my thoughts on trading the first 30 minutes of the day. A lot of volatility could be difficult to make reads. Yeah, totally. So we've got, for our members, I wrote a book called The Secret to Trading the Open, where we use the 60 anchor setup. And so that's helpful. It gives you, it gives you a good foundation to use for the next day. And all that really is the last 60-minute bar of the day. If it goes inside, right, and we can kind of get a read on that in continuation. So even with WoW here, right, so you can see how the last 60-minute bar of the day, right, closes 60 anchor bar right here. So you can see that breakout in that first 60 minutes of the day, right, give that nice push out through that level. So we see that. And there's other techniques that we use, right? We have pre-market boxes that we use. We use our 15 orbs. That's really key to use. And we can use some other price action strategies too on the gappers. Like we'll use gap and go methods. I did a whole newsletter on that. There's different techniques that we use for that. And then we use the 3-minute chart a lot at the open. So it just depends, but you have to be able to manage it, and you have to know what you're trading and what the spreads are and all that stuff. But yes, it's much more difficult to trade right at the open. And there's other techniques too, like our go bar techniques too, which can work really well, which worked on Beyond the other day for that huge short on that. So it's tough. You just have to have the methods to do it, right? And but yeah, you can get some of the bigger moves off of that. But there's plenty of setups during the day too where you don't have to worry about it. Some people just trade the open and they try to make their money at the beginning of the day and then they're done. I think it's a good day to where you start seeing some setups and we catch some trades off of that too. So, but yeah, good stuff. Trade Center, my pleasure. Jay, no, I know, I knew that, but that's funny though. Albert seeing earnings this morning. Yeah, I know. Totally missed it. It wasn't even on the 15 orb list this morning, so it's just under the radar type thing. So. Well, good. Well, I guess Shirley's not here tonight, so I don't see a lot of chart requests coming from Casey, from Shirley. So hopefully she's doing well. I'm sure actually with her gap up today with all her trading ideas, she's probably doing quite well today. So I know, isn't that neat? Wow, was a stock. It's fantastic. What a cool ticker. So. But anyway, good stuff, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Great questions tonight. Awesome chart requests. Really looking forward to tomorrow. For all of our members, really looking good stuff. Definitely check out the recap video today too if you haven't had a chance to look at that. We go over all the Go Bar stuff too. So good stuff. All right, guys. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for tuning in and have a great one. And remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon.